Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reginald Mathis. And rocking with me is my brother, Wildman Teddy T, aka Baron Theo Mountain Builder. What up, bro?
He's there. He's there.
All right. And then behind the wheels of steel, man, we have our mixologist, none other than DJ Newkirk. What up, Cap?
I'm here, my brother. How are you today? Happy to see y'all two brothers right before this supposed hurricane coming.
I was speaking sign language to the people for the deaf and impaired people
Oh,
that's
really?
listening in Tampa and Orlando on Video Mix.
Right. Shout out to our folks in Tampa, all the some man. Did you see when she came in and she replicated the sign language person for Mandela, and she was up there, doing all kind of signs, and folks was like, "Who is that lady?
Mm-mm.
What is that person?" But we just had a faux signer, FAUX, faux, a faux signer.
A
I'm
faux
thinking
signer.
I want to trademark that. I think I want to trademark the faux signer.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
But it's the Ask Matt the Show on Strong Arm Radio. Give us a call, 786-801-0033. Holla at us. So, of course, man, Florida, man, how does it feel to be in a red state? We are officially a red state. How does it feel?
Wow. It's showing. It seems like it's showing. It seems like it's showing.
Let's check us. That's not, he's moved
Oh.
decades, decades ago when the studies start coming out in terms of the population growth and the fact that Hispanics were going to overtake that of African Americans or folks of African descent as
Mm-hmm.
far as being the most populous minority group in the United States. And, they made a decision. And the decision that they made was we're going to go with them and not us. And that's, what we're seeing. We can look at the wet foot, dry foot policy
Mm-hmm.
and the way that Cubans were treated versus the way Haitians were treated, in terms of both fleeing economic destabilization and, they, for whatever reason, put a needle in a haystack and made the Cuban situation one where it was not economic, but it was political.
Mm-hmm.
They were in political persecution versus economic persecution that they accused the Haitians of fleeing.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do a little deeper digging, what do we find? Who had propped up the regime in Haiti, the Duvalier regime, for all that time? Who had, made the nation of Haiti pay this crazy debt back to France for freedom? And you wonder why, sitting on the same plot of land, the Dominican Republic and Haiti live in two separate ways of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, it's run by three gangs right now. Haiti is being run by three gangs right now. And they just, in their benevolence, told the world, okay, we're going to allow food, water, and gas to come in. We're going to stop taking it because the people are literally starving. But hey, I digress. I'm not mad.
It's real talk.
We saw it coming.
Real talk.
I mean, Eddie, did we not say Ron DeSantis was going to beat Charlie Chris? Did we not?
So
Go ahead.
I'm afraid so. You know,
Did we
the
not
younger
say?
guy prevails.
Did we not say that Val Demings, although we love her, did we not say Marco finally responded to her ass? It was over.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He started off,
Definitely.
but then she didn't. Once she came back, she started off with her bio. Her bio was nice. daughter of a maid and a janitor outside of Jacksonville. Duval started off as a social worker, police force, worked his way up to being the chief. That ran for a good month. Put her at one point actually put her ahead of Marco in the polls. Marco did not respond. Then, she came with the abortion ads.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, please. And right after that,
Mm-hmm. Do this one there. Okay. Oops. There you go. Go.
right
Mm-hmm.
um Marco came back with, you know, promises made, promises kept, doing his thing, you know, and tied her with Biden, where, depending on where it was, that was a winning strategy. It happened to be a winning strategy here in Florida. Biden is not viewed favorably in Florida.
Almost anywhere.
No, no, that's not true because he went to New York, campaigned in New York, he campaigned in Pennsylvania, and they had some pretty big wins in Pennsylvania and in New York. It really, you know, and I mean, if you look in terms of just the overall, this was not a red wave or a tsunami or any of that where all the pundits were predicted. It was none of those things transpired. None of those things came to pass. If anything, the House of Representatives may be flipped to the Republicans, and Kevin McCarthy out of California may be the Speaker of the House. But what good is that? If you only have
Not if.
a 3 or 4 or 5 vote majority, and this is a very diverse country, and so there are certain, depending on what it is, you take away the culture wars,
Mm-hmm.
people vote their constituents, their
Right.
constituencies. So, having a 3 or 4 person majority is not going to really, there's not going to be a whole lot of change because remember, you have a Democratic president,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do anything in the Senate really if you don't have 60 votes. So nobody's going to have 60 votes. So this can either be the best thing for the nation
Mm-hmm.
as far as people having to go to work and compromise and get things done, or it's going to be gridlock and nothing's going to happen. So, I think the people voted for a divided government, which I don't have an issue with. But I think the overall takeaway is that, not all the way, but a lot of the way, the whole MAGA and the Trumpism, has been defeated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a big, big battle. If it hasn't been defeated, I say the midterms was a big, big battle that Donald Trump just took a L. What say you, Teddy?
Sideways, steady.
Yeah, I think the element of really, am I on? Yeah, I mean, he said he's got this announcement on the 15th. I think everybody's pretty much laying dormant right now. They're in a dormant state. Everybody just said he said on the 15th, so they just backed up. After the 15th, we'll see the response and the wave that comes after that.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on our governor to stand up and pick a fight because he's certainly been poking him. Have y'all seen Trump, man, and his rallies leading up to the weekend right before the election? He's calling DeSantis
The
out. Like he's
sanctimonious.
say it again.
He called him the sanctimonious.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. So he's already, named him. He's already named him. So Trump already sees who his opponent is or who his likely opponent is.
Yeah.
So he's already taking aim for DeSantis. DeSantis is kind of, just, you know, falling back and but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen. It's like DeSantis is the only one who doesn't know it's going to happen. Like, take it back to grade school. Take it back to grade school. Everybody knows you're going to be in a fight except for you. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. The Sanchez walking down the hallway and folks like whoops up side the head, say whoops up side the head. Yeah. Like, hey, what are you guys talking about? What's going on here? What are you guys huh? What is this thing about going upside the head? Who? President Trump, I love that guy. What do you mean? Oh no. Did you not hear what he said about you? Oh no, he didn't. He didn't say about me. Hey, here you go. I got it right here. Take a look at it. Oh man, that guy, he just tripping, man. It's all good. No, dude, I'm gonna tell you, bro, behind your back, you should really hear what he said behind your back, bro. He really doesn't like you. And he just say, oh man, you guys, yeah, you guys.
Anybody that goes against him, he doesn't like. You say one thing, and they wanted to hold out before trying to say that DeSantis was going to run for president or whatever. They said they were taking their time, and they said, why go ahead, and if Trump doesn't even announce or he can't win or whatever, they wouldn't have to fight against Trump. That was their concern.
Because he still is in control of a very noisy, radical, extreme group of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like your country cousins. They still your relatives. They're still your relatives. But you don't invite them everywhere. You know the places that you're going to invite them to. But certain places you aren't going to invite them. You're gonna say, y'all come around about 9. And you got everybody else coming at 3 o'clock, because you already know that Uncle Joe gonna get into it with somebody that you don't want him getting into it with. Mm-hmm. So right now, DeSantis got the juice. He has the juice. He has the juice right now. The issue is, what is he going to do with it? What is he going to do with it? Because who had the juice too? Marco Rubio had the juice back in 2016. And what happened? Your boy dejuiced him, if that's a word. Little Marco. And he never been.
I was hoping he was going to lose. Ted, you got to turn on that music.
The juice.
Yeah, never been the same. Never been the same since then. So, I think that's good for the country, regardless of, what may happen. In my opinion, I think there were a lot more positives than negatives that came out of the midterms. Shout out to Corey Simon, who just got elected to state senate, a black Republican from Ely High School, played football, offensive line, also played for Florida State and Indianapolis Colts. So he ran, I think, out of Gadsden County. So he won. Mm-hmm. So shout out to him. I think it's I think people just want to move on. They want to evolve. This whole culture war stuff, I think people are really exhausted. Mm-hmm. I know I am, because you got to be all in. You got to be mad all the time. Nobody don't want to be mad all the time. So I'm just thinking, like at the end of the Wiz. What happens at the end of the Wiz? Mm-hmm. Can you feel a brand new day? Can you feel a brand new day? You feel me? That's how I feel today, because a lot of folks was panicking. Folks was really panicking. You had folks denying the election, saying the election was rigged and stolen and all that. And it's just, um, we can't continue this way. We often talk about the destruction of democracy, the destruction of America, and that is it. When you don't believe in the fundamental one man, one vote principle, government by the people, for the people, of the people. If you don't understand that, then and you don't respect the results of elections, then what do we have? So can we give a big shout out to Tim Ryan? Tim Ryan, who is the congressman from Ohio, who is running for U.S. Senate to replace retiring Senator Rob Portman. And it was a tough race. He distanced himself from Joe Biden. He opposed the student loan forgiveness of President Biden. Like that was one of the things that he opposed. Also, his policy on the borders, he opposed, and a few other things. He tried to distinguish himself running against McMaster's, who actually won, saying that he was really from San Francisco. He was a carpetbagger who came to Ohio, but he ended up winning. I'm sorry, JD Vance, I believe Vance, but he ended up winning. So, but shouting out Congressman Tim Ryan for his concession speech. Concession speech, Teddy T, was this. He says, I have the privilege to do something that only, in America would it be a privilege. I have the privilege to concede. You know what I mean? Like, he flipped it. Kind of like when Snoop Dogg was like, I want to thank me for all my hard work and for everything that I did. He flipped the script. Like, you wasn't expecting that when he came out saying, the ability to concede an election, to respect the will of the people is what this thing is all about. And if we have people who only respect the outcome when they win, that's some Ricky Bobby stuff. Like when we watched it on Talladega Nights in the movie, and he was like, if you're not a winner, second place is the first loser. And if you're not first, you're last. Like all those things, like we laughed at it. But tell me, for the last 6 years, that hasn't been our system. That's what we living under. We've been living under Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last situation, which is only going to, put democracy in peril. Abraham Lincoln said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand."
Right.
And if it just that virus got everywhere. Newkirk. That virus was in the military, on the police force, at the school board level, in the schools. It's everything is so polarized. Everything is polarized. Even the sports, athletics.
Right.
And when did that start? That started, I would contend that it started in terms of sports. LeBron James, just shut up and dribble. Colin Kaepernick, when Trump was like, oh man, the NFL, I don't even watch it anymore, and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden, folks booing, instead of booing against the opposite team, you booing against folks for, free speech, and you're trying to make it, a issue between, free speech, protesting, and being a patriotic. Just all false arguments at the same time. Teddy, what am I going to say? At the same time that all that stuff is going on, all these people are being distracted. You know what I want to say, Teddy?
Tell them.
Whitey's on the moon.
Ooh.
Whitey's on the moon.
I listened to that. After you told me about that, I listened to that whole poem, and it's dope. is truly dope. I listened to it like 4 or 5 times back to back.
Bruh, tell me about it. Like, exactly. When we're down here doing all this other stuff, we're fighting each other. We're coming up with these, like, folks are trying to make us mad because somebody want to go and have an abortion at 6 months, 7, 8 months, 9 months. No, I don't have any problem with some type of regulation. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we have our guest here.
Bring them on. Bring them on. We queued them up. We queued them up. Introduce them, Teddy.
Wild man, introduce him. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yeah, so
There you
go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I got one of my brothers from the Circle of Brotherhood on the phone right now, and I ain't even gonna front.
You sideways.
I ain't where
Fix
his
it,
name
Ted.
is,
You
so I'd like
sideways.
for him to tell everybody his name and who he is. Turn your phone sideways, brother.
You too. You upside down.
I am sideways, man.
No, but
I am.
you vertical. There you go. You're fine now.
Hello, brother. You there?
Oh yeah, I was waiting for you. Yeah, it's Rudy Shango Theophin. I'm a political consultant out here, originally from New York. Currently in Miami, Florida, and my biggest vision is to make sure that we're able to leverage our votes, right? Have people in our community understand how the system works. But even more importantly is for us to know how it works. I think the biggest thing is, for me personally, a lot of the people who come from the black and brown or underdeveloped communities, they don't want to engage because they don't have a reason to, right? And if I don't understand something, if I'm not politically literate, then I'm less likely to vote, right? Because in the end of the day, to me, it's simple. Like, what's in it for them?
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Can you give us a background of who you are and how you got to where you at right now?
Yeah, most definitely. So I really came from the finance side. So I came from investment banking, and from investment banking, I learned something really interesting through investment banking. And my biggest thing was I realized, and I'm not gonna say the name of the bank, but the people, my name stands out. I realized that when it came to banking, that the financial institutions, they literally pay both parties. And the reason is it's just like investing when you hedge the bet. I'm gonna put my money on the New York Knicks and I'm gonna put my money in Miami Heat. It doesn't matter who wins because I win. It's like when you place a bet, the rule is the bookie always win. And when I came to that like fruition or state of awareness, I understood that this game is more deeper than what we think. And then when I was in rooms and fundraisers and seeing individuals from opposite side of the aisles who are beefing with each other publicly, but inside these closed rooms, it's like, I'm not a big conspiracy theory, but yeah, they knew each other. They had civil conversations. Their children went to the same school. They're pretty much close family members. It's just me and you fronting like we beefing, but behind closed door, it's just it's a show. So me learning about that, I got to a place where I got passionate about it, and I said, listen, I want to know how government works, and I want to know how to make it work for us. I want to understand how we can, use local government for the empowerment of the people. So Circle of Brotherhood was the organization that I saw. And when I met Circle of Brotherhood, there was nothing like Circle of Brotherhood in Miami, in my viewpoint, all male organization. And they weren't the regular organization that's taking pictures, with the mayor and whatnot. They were doing more than that. The Circle of Brotherhood literally went to the heart of the communities that most people are quote unquote afraid of. So I think what inspired me about the brothers of the Circle of Brotherhood is seeing men saying, look, we need to take responsibility of our community. We need to go above and beyond, and we need to put our foots in ground, right? We have to be soldiers for our communities. We have to be advocates for our community. And so, Circle Brotherhood is history. Like everything they do is history. Like it's just the legacy that they're leaving and they're leading the way in terms of an organization has been very influential. So, so I definitely have to give my thanks to brother Leroy Jones, who's one of the head members of Circle Brotherhood, one of the founding father. You know, I used to always say, who runs Miami? Who's the mayor of Miami? And it's Leroy Jones. And I used to hear a lot about the legendary Leroy Jones, until I met him, and he is everything that everyone said about him and more. You know, when I meet brothers who are, you know, came from a situation where they're incarcerated to get to a place of elevations, to meeting the presidents and being able to make impact in the livelihood of the youth, to me, that was everything. Because that's what I'm big about. My big thing is, how can I talk to these young brothers and let them know that they have the ability to excel? You know, because I always feel like we don't have enough men within our community that are saying, let's put our head together, let's put our ego aside, and let's come up with an actual plan, with a deadline, with a blueprint, and let's do it for the progress of our community, something we can measure. So coming from Harlem, like I literally seen, you know, because I'm pushing 40, right? So I literally seen Al Sharpton before he was like the skinny guy. He was a fat dude, Jerry Kirk. Like I knew the real Al Sharpton, and he used to be outside. You know, the thing about Al Sharpton is like seeing him now is like different, but like he used to literally be outside in Harlem when he was on 125th on the west side. You know, he literally was outside, always outside, always used to see him. And he used to coordinate with different organizations as well. So seeing him from being, you know, on the corner of 125th or 135th on the west side to seeing him on the CNBC and being where he's at and having an organization coming from the ground up is pretty interesting. But more importantly, it's not enough for us just to have an individual that's going to speak. We need individuals who do have those relationships with the elected officials and the leaderships, and we need to be able to provide something that people can see and utilize. Because that's like my biggest thing with our community, because we got great speakers and we have individuals who are Harvard grads, but to me the disconnect is when I'm in a room with them, the mentality is like, look, I went to Harvard, I went to Yale, I went to HBCU. I'm from the hood, but I don't want to deal with anything from the hood. I don't want to deal with the people in the hood. You know, it's certain stereotypes we have for brothers who, you know, made poor decisions in life. But I think we have to invest in them, because when we look at these young boys, we can't let them go.
Rudy, so after the election yesterday, how do you see locally, how do you see things working from this point on? I mean, you see the Spanish have really come in and set their precedent. And where does that leave us as far as having community leadership and power to be able to make change?
You know, someone once told me your vote is your voice, and your voice is your vote, right? We've been having a struggle with having the right candidate to actually connect the message to the youth. Because what we're saying is we want the age group of 18 to 36 to vote, right? The black and brown from 18 to 36 to vote. Catch-22 is none of your elected officials who's running can really speak to them. They don't look like them. They don't speak like them. You know, when Takeoff, God bless the dead, when he transitioned, I had someone literally say, "What's Takeoff?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, he's a member of Amigos." So what's Amigos? Okay, it's a rap group. Like, why do people care that he died? This person said, why do people care that he died? And this is an example of the gap between generations and the elected officials and the people they serve. So we have a big gap. The solution, in my viewpoint, is, which I always believe, the people that should be running are not running. And the people who shouldn't be running are running and getting elected. So in terms of the solution, what we need to really focus on is we really need to identify members in our community that we see have leadership skill set, and not go by their background or, you know, whether they've been in jail or not. No, if they can qualify to run for a position, or if they can qualify to lobby, we need to be able to change how black and brown people look in government. Once we're able to do that, then we can make a difference. But if we have a mentality that, oh, they got to get a haircut, or they can't have tattoos or things of that nature, they have to look a particular look, then there's no progress. And that's been my biggest fight, you know, because like I had to cut my hair, you know, to get in certain rooms, and people forgot it was me. Why did I have to cut my hair though?
Right. So look, I got Reginald Mathis and I got Newkirk on the line. Do any of y'all have a question for Rudy as we're on the show right now?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about when we had Anthony Blackman on the program some months ago, and he was talking about the Success in a Year campaign, the partnership that the Circle of Brotherhood was able to foster. So definitely want to commend the Circle and his brothers. Dennis, one of the brothers from one of the original founders. Maybe you guys got to do a better job of getting the message out to the other organizations, the other men's groups who are out there, because the perception of the Circle of Brotherhood is that it's an organization of returning citizens, ex-cons, ex-felons, who the members, the top guys pull themselves up, and they're trying to help others transition from incarceration or some form of supervised release, and to prevent the youth from following in those footsteps. But it sounds like from what you're saying, Brother Theophin, is that the Circle of Brotherhood is far more than that, and that there's actually a plan or a blueprint for Black and brown people, and not just for cons and for preventing folks from following in that. So I'd like to hear more about the blueprint.
Yeah, most definitely. First of all, you can call me Shango. People go call me by my middle name. You call me, Theophin, I'm thinking you're a debt collector or something like that. I owe you money, or I did something, to your old lady in the past. So you can just call me Shango. It's my middle name. So yeah, you made a good point. Now the Circle Brotherhood, the founding members were returning citizens, and that's just one element of it, right? Because the biggest thing when I go back to like relaying a message and the communication is, when I was young, if someone came with a suit and tie, right, and they told me, look, I'm, this is what I'm doing with my life, and you could be just like me, the Billy Bob clean guy, that message it wouldn't resonate with me, to be completely candid, at all. I'm gonna look at that person and be like, you're a square. Like when I go to school and I talk to the children, I wear the suit and tie to get in. The suit and tie is for the principal and the teacher. But once I get in, I meet them in their level. And I have to meet you at your level, because my biggest thing, and I when I talk to parents, especially single mothers, is they're like, well, what are you doing? Are you a miracle worker? No one's a miracle worker, right? There's no miracle working on my end. All it is meeting you at your level. So when these returning citizen comes, if someone been doing 10 years in jail comes and tells you, listen, young brother, you don't want to be out here selling drugs. It's going to lead you to incarceration or your actual demise, right? So you can choose. You want a graveyard, or you want to spend the rest of your life in jail, right? When it comes from someone who actually been through that message resonates more. But it's more than just telling you, brother, stay off the street. We can't just say, brother, don't sell drugs. The drugs, like I tell people, I always tell people don't sell drugs for community service hours. People don't sell drugs because it's cute. There's a financial element. People sell drugs for money. So if I could tell a young brother, or someone in the Circle Brotherhood can tell to a young brother, listen, brother, okay, I'm not here to tell you to not sell drugs. I'm here to tell you there's another way. Instead of selling drugs, why don't you get into selling real estate properties? Why don't you sell a produce, right? You want to open a small business. You're on social media. Why don't you utilize your social media as much hours you spend on social media and have a social media multi-marketing? So it's not about really looking at these young brothers and sisters and saying, oh, no, you can't do this, no, or that. It's really looking at it and say, these are the opportunities that are available. And in terms of working and collaborating with other organizations, I think that's something that's really big about the Circle Brotherhood. They're so open to working in collaboration with other organizations, because that's something else that tend to happen in the nonprofit space, is that you see an organization, and that organization says, look, we don't want to collaborate. We don't want to collaborate. It's not about being competitive, but to have a collaborative mindset, right? And that's something that's big within the organization. So, there's a lot of brothers who come to the Circle of Brotherhood, and they're like, well, what is this all about? And then we wherever we find them, you just came out of jail, okay, cool. Brother, you looking for a job? Yeah, I'm looking for a job. Okay, here's a program, right? There's one brother, he recently came out, and he's getting all his license. He's got a forklift license. He got like 4 or 5 different licenses. He's at the point where they're going to likely get him an opportunity where he's going to be working at the dock. So it's not saying that you can't do this. It's providing them that opportunity. Because the biggest thing is, once you did 10 years in jail and you come out, right, it's hard to really transition into the job market, because there's a lack of guidance. And our main goal is to provide you with the guidance and the resource. They didn't have a program for people who want to get married. It's just like, it's to a place where you meet someone who's like, man, I want to get married, but I don't have the financial means. The Circle of Brotherhood has initiatives in place where they can help you, provide you the resource to get married, to set up your wedding. Not to mention, we have an amazing pastor, Pastor Matt, who I'm going to use for my premarital counseling, and to help provide these young men with the marriage counseling that they need, the premarital counseling. So it's a lot of resources that they provide the brothers within our community that normally they're not getting it from government agency outlet. And the biggest thing is the governments, local governments have resources available, but we don't know where to go to get these resources, right? Sure. So when an organization like a Circle of Brotherhood that exists, guess what? The Circle of Brotherhood have members who have a healthy relationship, direct contact with whether it's mayor, commissioners, governors, senators, heck, presidents, right? So that's something that we have to take in consideration, because we need to make a bridge between the community and the government. And that's the biggest thing. And this is the reason why, if you tell an 18-year-old to vote, they're going to ask you why. You better have a good reason.
So Shango, that's why I'd like to segue into, what's the plan of action to be able to keep the democracy element of government, the actions of government in these kids' mind, and to actually engage more into understanding who's running, and to maybe encourage some of the people you're talking about that's not running to run? Like, what kind of plan of action is it for the future for the kids to have a better understanding of government and the way democracy works?
That's a great question. I think the most important thing is give them a reason to vote. Give them a reason. It's not enough for you to tell your son and daughter, vote. Mm-hmm. And then when they say, well, why am I voting? It's like, well, because, our ancestors, they fought for us to vote. That does not hold in 2022. And if that's the only reason that you have to give as an answer, as a response to why they should vote, then you're already losing. You got to give them a reason to vote. You got to let them understand the importance of voting. You got to have the conversation about it. You got to make sure you include them in the process. When you go into the fundraiser, take them, get them excited. Tell the elected official or the potential candidate, whoever that it may be, hey, take a picture of my son or take a picture of my daughter. Tag them. Get them excited about being part of the process. Explain it to them, but explain it to them in a manner where it's not boring, right? Include them in the process. I'm really big on, like when I was on the West End, I was really big on have them be part of canvassing if you're volunteering for elected official, because then they get excited. And what you're gonna realize is those individuals who got hands-on are more likely to not just vote, but to be the future leaders. And this is the key in my viewpoint. Hands-on. When you feel it, it's better than, hearing me talk. Mm-hmm. It's more fun. I got more excited when I started canvassing. I'm like, okay, I didn't know what canvassing was. I was like, what, paint? What was canvassing? Paint? But I really didn't know what canvassing was. It's like, oh yeah, it's canvassing, and using the technology and using social media, knocking
I
on
mean,
doors, meeting people.
give us the definition of canvassing so some of the viewers can get more and tell what you're talking about.
Okay, so canvassing is you going out, reaching out to people like door to door. You know, when someone walks door to door and they knock on your door and they give you a flyer to vote for XYZ, that's canvassing. You know, so it's a good opportunity to really get people to be hands on, right? To get hands on.
Do people get paid for canvassing?
That's a great question. So you have some elected officials have paid volunteers and there's non-paid volunteers. I believe in paying. I believe in paying. I think money helps with the motivation.
Are you a Democrat or Republican?
I'm an independent. That's a great question. Oh, he was trying to get me. You trying to get it, brother?
Yeah. I was trying to see where you was at. If you was Democrat, I was like, he doesn't pay money.
Well, you know that's like the biggest complaint is about the Democrats is there's a perception that Democrats don't pay and Republicans do. And I don't know if it's a stereotype, but there's some truth to it depending on what you look at.
That's been my experience in working with politics, is that Democrats, they want you to do it for the love of politics, and Republicans understand that you're doing a service for them. That, and it's in their explanation of why they do it. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like,
I got to keep it real. I got to pay my bills. So doing it for the love is, I mean, that's cute, but FPL don't care about the love. You know what I mean? So FPL, it's and it's discouraging when I meet individuals who actually have the budget and have the funds, and they're like, look, I get it if it's a small campaign and you have individuals doing it for love, to an extent, but once you start getting money, you need to put people on your payroll. I think that's just the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I'm not gonna have. Not gonna have anyone knocking on the door. You know how hot it is in Miami. We in South Florida, and just for a box of pizza and some soda. No, that's we got bills, we got responsibilities. I'm not an advocate for it. And if you don't, I don't believe that.
What other opportunities are there? Because I think the more, like, when I go to the voting areas, I see a lot of Black women that are there working. They're there passing out product. Like, are there any other actual positions that are paid? Because I think, of course, the more people can know about paid jobs that are in the voting, because I see, like, I really get encouraged to go vote when I see people that look like me encouraging me to vote. But are they really into it for the actual government, the democracy, the politics of it, or are they just there to get a job? You know what I mean? But either way, their enthusiasm kind of gets you through to the voting situation. So I would just want to say, to be able to make more people aware of and voting, what are the jobs that are actually available that are paid?
It's funny you said that, because as soon as you said that, I was thinking about there was a woman who was holding a sign for a candidate, and I was like, oh yeah, so you're gonna vote for this guy? And she looked at me, was like, brother, I don't even know this man. I'm just getting paid. And I really love her comment. She's like, I'm not even gonna vote. I'm just I just got paid for. I don't know who this is. So that's the reality of it. But in terms of us, I feel that we should look at the opportunities that are available. For example, relationships, right? Because I always explain to people that, to me, the most important currency apart from time is relationship. And relationship is not me just having your phone number. And I think that's the biggest misconception of network. It's like, oh, but I got this person's phone number. How often are you using it? How often are you interacting with the individual? It's really maintaining and managing that relationship. So in my viewpoint, I feel that if you're an individual who's interested in, even if you're not interested in politics, right? You just want to make money. You can create a consulting firm, and believe it or not, it doesn't cost that much to create the actual firm. You're just registering, creating a website, get the cards. I mean, you're looking at maybe $1,300 at max. And as a small political consulting firm, you're making seasonal money. Every 2 years, you're going to have some seasonal money, and you can set it up where you can literally make money through individuals running. When a big shot want to run for governor, they got to come to where you live. Who knows Miami better than you? They have to come to you, and they may have other consultants as well, but when the budget is big, they're gonna go to you. There's individuals who need guidance. Guess what? They go to
how do they find your consulting firm?
Well, I mean, you're gonna have a website. So you have a website, you will market it just like you would market anything else. Use social media, the Facebook, the Instagram. But at the end of the day, what you do is, this is the reason why you build a relationship. If you're in a campaign trail, right? I say you either get the money now or you get it later. But you should get your money, right? So like money now and money later is, let's say I know someone, I have a really healthy relationship with them. They say, look, I'm running for something. I don't have any money. You go on there and say, listen, I know you. I trust your word. Your word is your bond. I'm gonna take this risk. I may put a few hours in. You get in. You remember me. They may be opportunities that are available. And yes, I do expect that you're gonna point me the way. Hey, look, Shango, such and such may need such and such. So I'm gonna introduce you to that individual to provide you an opportunity. Yes, without a doubt, 100%. This is what happens in the real world. So the relationship is very important, it's a form of currency, but you got to know how to use it properly.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, we appreciate you, Shango, dropping these jewels. Mathis, do you have anything you'd like to add, questions or comments?
Definitely appreciate you coming on. Shango, how can folks get in touch with you or the Circle of Brotherhood?
Okay, so the Circle of Brotherhood website is the circleofbrotherhood.org. Make sure I'm 100% correct, but it should be the circleofbrotherhood.org for our website. If anyone want to contact me, they can contact me directly at 561-672-4326.
Appreciate you, Shango, man, for dropping the jewels, man. Anytime, like if you get other people, like we're saying, keep us updated with other people that we can get on the show. We appreciate you, the people you helped us with so far, and thank you for everything.
I wanted to ask one quick thing. When he said he's an independent, don't you have to register either a Republican or a Democrat in order for you to vote in our local elections?
No.
You don't?
No. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a lot of things that sometimes that are small that we're not aware of, which like impacts us. For example, your mayor can choose to be Republican or Democrat. The catch-22 is your mayor, his responsibility is to everyone. It's not to Republicans, it's not to Democrat, it's for everyone. So if that mayor is Republican and you're not getting what you want, you may say, hey, he's not looking out for me because I'm a Democrat. Vice versa if he's a Democrat, right? So that's the reason why typically if you see on a local level, mayors you may see them as NPA, which is not non-party affiliate, because that way they'll say, look, I'm serving everyone. But typically speaking, your mayor is typically lean to the left or the right. But that's something that's very important, because in the end of the day, I plan to serve. And my thing is, whether I agree with you politically or not, I'm here to serve everybody. Like I'm here to look out for the interests of the constituencies. So it's not about how I feel about you personally or your political stance. It's really about me doing what's best for the collective. Yeah.
A real public servant. His name is Rudy Shango Theophin, and he's from the Circle Brotherhood, live on Ask Mathis, which is live on video mix at 11 o'clock on Sundays Eastern Time in Tampa, Orlando. They're going to be watching you. We big in the jails too, brother, so they're going to be rooting you on in the jails, man, right here on Ask Mathis.
Appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Interesting. I like that, man. But that's another side of the coin. that like go further into that conversation, because there was some jabs that was thrown, but
You was quiet on it. Why you say nothing?
there was a few there because first time guests, and I appreciate the brother's passion. So I definitely, there was a few jabs thrown out there, but that just shows you our community. That shows what it is, that there was an arrogance on the part of the circle of brotherhood, which is cool because everybody is great. Everybody should believe in greatness, but you know, I'm like, brother, isn't this the organization, for like returning citizens, aka ex-cons, felons, and whatnot? So, basically saying that they're the only ones that's being real versus fraternities and alumni associations and civic organizations and all these professional organizations that are out doing it. You know we all need to come together, and that's part of the issue, is everybody gets into their own hut, their own tribe, and feel like it's all about us. And the same, and I would put the religious institutions in there as well. When we were out this past Sunday, we did a convoy to the polls. We started at Florida Memorial, then we went to North Day Regional Library, then we went to Miramar Library, then North Miami Library, and then we ended at Caleb, and we had rallies at all the spots. But at the North Day Regional Library, there was a faith organization. A lot of churches who were there, and right now, I guess is the first time that I'm thinking about it. Because I like to look at things, ponder, and come up with solutions. But I was seeing like, so you got the churches who feel like they got a way to do it. Then you got the alumni associations and the fraternities and the sororities and the professional organizations, the civic organizations, the NAACP, the Urban League, and then Embrace Foundation for Girls, Honey Shine, the Links, Jack and Jill. There's so many organizations, but they're calling on the same people to do the same thing. You know, Problem is we aren't doing something big together on a grand scale to really make something happen. And y'all know what I always go back to. While all these things and all this confusion and all this stuff not going on, who wants to get the credit for something going on? Teddy, what's going on?
The Republicans?
Why
Mm-hmm.
moon? Whitey's on the moon.
Whitey's on the
Whitey's on the moon every time.
Whitey's on the moon. So
Headed to Mars.
it's it's incumbent, on everybody, as Brother Shango said, to set aside egos and to come together like they did in Gary, Indiana, so many decades ago, when everybody, came to Gary, Indiana, Nation of Islam, the church organizations, the Christian organizations, the elected officials, the um, celebrities, the actors, the singers, for the state of Black America. Where are we, and what is it that we need to do? What is it that we want to do? And what has often happened whenever these functions are put together is it's hard to deal with ego. And I'm not saying that this is the case at all. Well, what I'm saying, I'm just going to throw out an example. You seen Tavis Smiley back in the day. He used to have State of Black America, right? And he had a multiple panels, and and he selected people to come in. So you come in and you see, okay, he has Minister Louis Farrakhan on the panel. He has Al Sharpton on the panel. He has Jesse Jackson on the panel. He has, you know, Russell Simmons on a panel. he has all these folks, on the panel, and they're going back and forth, and they're talking at the people. They're on the stage and they're talking at the people. And it's more so about what I've accomplished, what I've done, who I am, and what I think, we need to do, as opposed to coming up with a more creative, I think, laboratory setting. I think we need a laboratory, where there are actual plans, and everyone says, we need an action plan. We need an action plan. We need an agenda, for our community in order to do it. One thing I really like about Circle of Brotherhood that was brought out by Anthony Blackman, and I've seen the progress from once he was here, which is career in a year. That career in a year, that's something tangible. That's something real. That's something that continues on, and that's something that kudos to the Circle of Brotherhood, and that's something that I think, there should be a mechanism to link in the resources from all these other organizations with Circle of Brotherhood to get our, folks who may not be college bound to say, hey, just because you don't go to college, there's still other opportunities that are here for you to get a lot of money. Plumbers make six figures.
That's good.
Some county workers, there's serious, funds to be made. Welders, trades, like it just needs to be something that we need to encourage, something outside of criminality. And I think that's the bigger issue. I think that's the elephant in the room that doesn't get addressed, is that through our music, it's like it's a tacit acceptance and agreement to criminality. All this criminality that's going on, it's like, no, it's cool. It's like a secret, like, which, what that really means, to folks outside of our community, is that we're all criminals. We're all criminals. Like that's what that means. Like, this is picnic behavior. These are the dog whistles. Picnic behavior. When you hear picnic behavior, go ahead.
When you when you look at the music element, a lot of these other countries, they will not even allow your music to come in to be played in their country with all the cursing and the content. And so, these people are already hindering themselves, coming out by not understanding that the world is different from the United States. The United States is one country, but you got all these other countries that you can now provide music in if you just do it on a general level, And I think that's the.
I got a question for you, Teddy.
Go ahead.
Why is it we can talk about? I can go to the booth right now and say I'm about to come and shoot up your whole school, and then when they go to mourn you at the funeral, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna shoot up your funeral. No problem. But Biggie Smalls cannot say blow up
World
like
Trade.
the world.
Yeah.
Trade. Right.
He cannot. You cannot say that. You cannot come and say that Jewish individuals, and just look at the numbers. Just look at the names of the CEOs of names of the CEOs at the record industries who are putting this music that allow that to come out. But if you come and you question anything or you point out a fact, you are canceled. You are. So why, if we came out there and started saying, boy, you know what I'm saying, I got my chopper and I'm headed to the synagogue and I'm about to pray, Rabbi gonna get it. You know what I mean?
But then they gonna arrest them, and then they gonna say they got to get dropped from the label. Everything.
It would never see the light of day.
Never see the light of day. You're right.
Never see the light of day. So
Never.
why is it we can come in there and say all these things about what we're going to do to each other, and on top of that, it's happening. Like it's not like would happen if I. No, it is happening every day. Like we're looking at numbers. We're looking at video game numbers in Chicago. We're looking at numbers of shootings. like over a big holiday weekend. We talking video. It's like you send your loved one to a party in Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, how could you even go to sleep until your child is back home?
That's
How can
true.
you even go to sleep?
That's real. You can't.
And that should not be. It does not have to be, and it should not be life for anybody, anybody. But that's life for a lot of bodies.
So, before we get up out of here, bro, there were 3 American travelers found dead in an Airbnb apartment in Mexico City
In
that you
Mexico.
sent me. So I'm gonna show it to
Yes,
the people. And do you want to say anything about that?
I mean they're saying that it may have been, you know, carbon monoxide poisoning. Uh, the young ladies was on the phone, I think, with her mother, saying that she was sick and whatnot. That's the thing, man. When you go to these resorts, especially out of the country, that food is there.
Mm-hmm.
That food there. Who knows what kind of preservatives or whatever they're using, or whatever the case may be. Um, when you're going out and when you're traveling, just you just never know. I mean, I think the oldest was 33, a teacher. 3 good friends, 33, 28. I forget the other one, but just good folks at an Airbnb, on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
not coming back, man, not coming back. But definitely want to shout out my brother Wes Moore, the new governor of the state of Maryland. So
Mm-hmm.
some people may be disappointed, but I think there's progress. There's still progress. There's still progress. Progress may be slow, but there's still progress. And
West in the
we
hood.
can't leave our brothers and sisters behind. Like, we can't leave our brothers and sisters behind, but our brothers and sisters have to bring themselves along. Again, another comment that the good brother Shango made, as far as meeting the people where they are. I feel him on that, as far as being able to identify with the folks in there. But when you identify with the folks in there, you also want to show a different way. You want to show a different way. You want to show a different path, especially if you're saying, "Hey, I look just like you. I sat right in these seats. I took some of your same teachers and some of your same courses, and yet, I was able to do X, Y, and Z." So we're not going to sugarcoat it. When you're talking about folks that drop out prevention and stuff like that, especially when we already know that in the third grade, you know, FCAT test results are what's used to determine prisons, prison construction. So, we can't be copying these kids. Like, you got to give them, like, the most successful jailhouse prevention that I've seen has been scared straight. And scared,
Mm-hmm.
not sugarcoat. Scared straight is bringing folks that serving life or heavy sentences, and putting hands on these kids at some time, or getting right up in their face, in terms of you know what things are and how many people are sitting in jail, now facing trial, facing life sentences, big things for stuff that nobody's taken care of for the rest of their life. If I'm going to go to prison, if I'm going to go to prison, then my loved ones are going to be taken care of, or I'm going to be on a mission to take care of them. It's not going to be for a lick or a jug. It's going to be to make sure, because if you're going to be taking chances like that, so if you're taking small chances, what does that say about your prospects?
Exactly.
You're risking, you're risking, you know, in Florida, 10, 20 life, 10 years if you use a firearm, 20 years if you fired a firearm, and 25 years to life if the projectile or the bullet even touches an individual, even if it's a flesh wound, even if you can't even find it. That's 25 years to life.
Damn.
And so, you doing something silly or stupid with nothing to, somebody look at you wrong, and then you expose a firearm to them and let them know, like, hey, like, I ain't even the one to even look at like that. Like that needs to go. That needs to go. And that goes right into, with Takeoff, and his tragic demise. You know, there was no need for it. There's no need for it. Getting into arguments when there's firearms around, that's not. We got to do better. We got to do better.
Definitely.
All right, my brothers. You gonna close it out?
Teddy.
Hey man, everybody, just take it easy. Shout out to everybody in Orlando and Tampa that's locked in the video mix. Big shout out to everybody that's doing it. We got Florida Classic coming up this week, so the party don't stop.
Not this week.
Well, Sunday, with it being on Sunday, it's the week up. It's the next
week from.
Yeah. Yep, the 19th. So.
Right, my bad, Teddy. You got me.
Yeah, that's okay. I was ahead of the game.
Yes, you were. All right, y'all. Hey, y'all.
Yes.
Right on. Come on. Hey. What we got to say? Yeah.